Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to take you along on the journey of kind of designing a project for my local library. So I have an adult watercolor class coming up in a couple weeks, and I was asked to do a spring landscape, so I thought it'd be fun to do like a bicycle in a meadow. I found a great reference photo on Pixabay, and I made a pattern here, and I just want to show you, because I will make this available for you to download on my blog if you want. I want you to see the lines in red are the lines I transferred, but you don't need to transfer everything because you don't want those tree lines marks in your sky, but they're there for your reference. I also I kind of scooted it over a little bit when I transferred it down so I'd have a little bit more sky. So you can see my bike is a little bit lower on the paper, and I use graphite paper to transfer that. You could use a light box if that's more up your alley, or you could even tape your watercolor paper to the window, and if it's nice and bright out you should be able to transfer it that way. So just basically get those lines in there. I apologize for any noise. It is very cold today, and the furnace is going to be coming on because I work in the basement and my furnace is right across the way. So I just wet the paper first by spraying it with water. Then I'm going to take a large flat brush and just smooth it out. And I am working on cotton watercolor paper. This is the paper I'll be bringing for my students to use. A lot of times on my library classes we work on a Strathmore greeting card, and those work great, but I am running low on them, so actually a friend of mine gave me some to try of a different brand that Amazon sells, so they've gone up so much in price. I'm trying to find a more reasonable replacement, but I had a bunch of these left over from a class, so cotton paper is always good. Plus, if you want to use it up, you don't want it to go bad. Alright, so I've got an even sheen here. If I look at my paper and I tip it to the light, I'm not seeing any puddles. I'm just seeing an overall like even gloss. And now I am going to work in my sky. The brushes I'm using are from my set with Craft Ammo. Obviously you can use whatever brushes you have. These are nice if you need some large watercolor brushes, but seriously, use whatever brushes you have. I'm going to take some cerulean blue. I think that will be a really nice sky color, and it also lifts really well. You want to have a paper towel handy. And I am going to, this time, because I'm going to have clouds, I'm going to try to paint around where I'd want my clouds to be, and just kind of let it blend. And you can get some really nice granulation with cerulean, and that's kind of nice to have. I might put a little ultramarine in there too, because that also granulates really beautifully. We usually have our darker colors up high. We do have more sky in our piece than the reference photo has, so I'm gonna put that mix with the ultramarine a little bit higher. And I try to let it kind of fade out as it goes across the towards the left side of the paper, because I want that to, that's going to have some trees in front of it. Oops. Gotta put some more color in there. I just lifted it off. I didn't want to have some blooms. That cloth there is actually one of the flannel diapers from when my babies were little. Like, and now they're like, 20 and 22. Crazy. Crazy. Alright, so I'm going to grab a paper towel. You always want to do, well, I recommend, you can do whatever you want because it's your life, but I recommend using granulating colors when you know you want to lift, because they're not going to stain the paper. And I'm just going to roll off some clouds. The paper, the paints that I'm using are the Phoenix Professional Watercolors. And we're just going to have a subtle effect here because we didn't put a ton of color down. If you want more lifting than you can go in with a Taklon brush. It's kind of just a little bit damp, and you can scrub a bit, and you can lift up a little bit more color that way. Just try not to get, well, I mean, if you do get too much water in there, you'll end up with like blossoms, and that can actually look like a nice cumulus cloud too. So you can do whatever you like the look of, and I would just say experiment. Beginners tend to work a little bit slower too, I've noticed, so having a couple different options on how you can get your sky is kind of nice. So it's very light. It will dry lighter. Keep that in mind. And while this is still wet, I want to put some like trees in the distance. I want to use kind of like a dark green. I'm going to take some of this Viridian or phthalo green there. I'm going to mix in a little bit of ultramarine, because ultramarine will kind of desaturate it a bit and keep it nice and cool, and cooler colors will tend to push back. You can even add a little Payne's gray in there if you want to. So I'm just kind of putting some scruffy shapes. The tip of your brush. You could use a liner if you want to, but you don't want the paint too wet. I think maybe I'll take a liner and some sap green. Just kind of dance it around there. You don't have to be too fussy. You could do some little branches if you wanted to. I'll take a little bit more sap green. This is really the darkest area in the background. Then I'm going to go in with the sap green on its own. And remember, the paper is still damp. I'm going to put in some little clumps of trees next to this. Bring it started a little bit down further on the paper. Can actually scrub back a little bit if I want to get like some blooms going over that darker green area to look like trees that have kind of grown over a bit. And pull in some just very vague leaves, laciness from the trees there. We're not really seeing too much detail at this stage. I want to bring that down a little bit lower here. I want to come below the handlebars. Now I do have to be mindful that we're going to have some flowers in there, so I don't want to have a bunch of dark color right there. So I'm going to wipe that out a bit. Now I'm going to take some lemon yellow and mix it in with a little of that Viridian green we used earlier. Was it this? No, it was this one right here. And our paper's drying as we go, so we're getting more crisp lines, which is great because as we work more forward in the paper, we want to have it a little bit brighter and lighter. I'm just going to kind of leave that area over the basket unpainted, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to soften that, then I'm going to take my brush and just kind of wipe out those harsh edges so that when I do paint those flowers in, they can overlap and look nice and natural. I'm going to go in with some of the sap green. I love that color. These paints here, hopefully by the time this video goes up, they'll be restocked. They sold out so fast, and I was contacted from Phoenix and they said that they are restocking. They sold out a lot quicker than they thought they were going to, so they're going to honor the introductory price, which was $29.99, which was great because these are going to go for much more. They actually, the price had gone up to $35 before they sold out, and I think it was just kind of when inventory gets low, like the prices go up on Amazon. So they said they will honor that introductory price, which is great. And if you missed out on that and you wanted to get a set of these, you will be able to. kind of bringing that over. I think I want to bring that down a little bit. I'm going to soften that, fade that a little bit too. And then here we've got a bunch of white and pink flowers. So what I think I'm going to do, I want more pink in there, so I'm going to go in with this permanent rose. I highly recommend when you are, especially a new set of watercolors, you make a swatch so you know what the colors actually look like when you use them, because it can be very deceiving. So what I'm going to do is start by putting some dabs. And then I'm going to soften them with a clean, damp brush. I want some darker, it's kind of a white bush here, but you do see some green, you see some like kind of grayish blue. So I'm going to take some of that cerulean blue. I'm going to take some Payne's gray. And I'm going to look and see what I want, probably more shadows towards the bottom. And again, I'm going to go in with my clean, damp brush, and I'm going to soften some of those shapes. I like the purple that those two colors make when they mix. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of that and add some of that in there. Keeping it very abstract. This is a beginner class that I do at the library, and it's kind of drop-in based, so and it's adult, and we have people that kind of maybe only paint when they come to the library classes. So this is a time that's to be fun and enjoyable and not stressful. So I try to simplify as much as possible. And if you're thinking about volunteering at the library, teaching some classes yourself, try to keep that in mind, because a lot of times people, the only time like they have to paint are in these events like this, and you got to meet them where they're at. And there'll be some people that paint more often, and they'll come in, and they can always do their own thing, and they can do more elaborate projects if they want to. But you really got to make sure that the most beginner person in your group, if you're teaching multi-level, can follow along. Now I'm taking some of this beautiful mix, this dark, with like the Payne's gray and green, phthalo green, and I'm adding that in behind these white flowers to kind of pop it away from the group of trees and stuff that are behind it. I think that's kind of I like contrast. It's nice to have some contrast in there. I'm also going to do a little negative painting where I'm just kind of going to slice my brush up and down around here, because I'll be putting meadow grasses and stuff, so I just want to make sure that I have some area for those to show up. I think I'm going to do a little bit of really yellowy green. Take some of the lemon yellow, a little touch of the sap green. Make a really light color, maybe even just like tap it in there like that. Okay, I'm going to blot off any place where it got muddy. Alright, now we're going to slide on down to the meadow area, and I'm going to take some yellow ochre some sap green. Oh, that's a really nice color. I like that. And I'm just going to start filling in here. I'm going to go right over the bike because I'm going to, well, actually, should I go over the bike? Maybe not. I think I want to do the bike like a teal. You can see how much the paper is already dried. You know what? I am going to go over the bike. I'm going over the bike. We'll just keep it kind of light for now. Let's do a little bit of lemon yellow in that mix. Warm it up down to the front corner there. So for brushes, my students will have a flat brush, probably about a 1/2 inch flat. They'll have a number 4 round, and they'll have like probably a number somewhere between an 8 and a 10 round. Oops, I got some color I didn't want there. Let's keep it light under the bike, but we do want to, I don't want to be painting around everything there. I'm going to take some yellow ochre and let's throw in some of the grasses in there. As I do grasses towards the front, I can be bigger with my strokes. Now they're going to fuzz out because everything is damp at this point. I think I want a little yellow ochre in the middle too. Yellow ochre is such a nice color. It really, I don't know, it really just brings a lot of warmth. And you want to just make sure everything is staying uniformly wet, or you're going to end up with blossoms. Alright, we're going to have to let that dry before we go in and do anything there. And while that's drying, I'm going with a smaller brush, and you put some detail in this little area here. I think I'm going to blot anything that's still wet in this little area. And yeah, let's see. Let me grab a little. Well, you know what? This has a good point on it. I'm just going to continue to use my number 8 round craft ammo, but if you want to switch to a smaller brush, you can. Just depends on the state of the tip of your brush, and don't get too much water on it, because that's what, if you get too much water on it, that's where you're going to lose your control, because, or if you have like a bit of water slide down off the tip of your brush. And I'm just going to layer up little bits of detail, not a ton. I'm thinking this is probably like a hydrangea. Oftentimes you have to have your brush pretty wet to get if it's a big brush, to get a small tip on it, so I would rather let the bristles splay apart a little bit and have not have too much water in there myself. And take that color right off the edge. I'm going to paint right over the tape, and hopefully we'll have a nice white border that stays nice and clean. I did press that down with my fingers good before we began because I was concerned about that, and the librarian will provide frames for people to take home with them, and I think they're like not floater frames, but they're like a glass frame, so you could put whatever size you want in there, and then you just have a glass around it with like a black frame on the outside, so it's adaptable. So it's nice if we get a nice mat from that. All right, at this point, I would have my students take a little break, have a snack or a drink or change their water if they needed to, and we would let this dry. So I'm going to dry this. We'll be back in a minute. This is nice and dry, so now I'm going to start painting the bike. I decided actually that I think I'm going to do a red bike because then I can use that red that I used in the flowers there, and I won't have to bring in a new color, because I was thinking I would do a cobalt teal, and that would be pretty, but I think the red would also be a little bit more eye-catching. And I'll probably have my students use their number 4 rounds for this. I'm going to use my number 8 because it does have a good point, and I'm just going to use that same rose color that I used before for the flowers. And because the color underneath is really light, I don't really have to worry about the fact that, you know, this is a transparent color because it's so much more saturated. So as I kind of get close to painting the area where there'll be grasses kind of coming up, I'm going to just kind of flick my brush a bit and kind of leave some area kind of unpainted. See that? So it's kind of like negative painting around the grass. So I will eventually go in and paint grass. I might have to go in and touch up some red here and there, like pull some more red down there, but red is a really strong color. I'm not going to be able to lift it out very well, so I want to make sure that whatever I do, I can still manage to work around. Let's see, I think I'm going to paint this red too. I think it's more silver in the reference, but I think I'm just going to do it in red. I'm working out from one area so I don't get streaks. I thought about doing masking fluid, but I thought that might be a bit much for my students to have to deal with. Just kind of feather out any of those longer lines. And make sure the paint's not too inky. That's not inky enough. I may end up with some gouache down in here for the grasses, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully not, but if I do, then I'll bring it and put it on people's palettes so they can use it as need be. Let's see. Am I gonna be able to see the other side? Maybe. I just try to throw in any other little details that I think may show up. Like on the handlebars here. The other handlebar will be behind the flowers, I think. Maybe not. We'll see when we get the flowers in there. Alright, so now I need a black. I didn't need to clean my brush. What I think I'll do for the black is I'll mix that Viridian green with that bright red that we were using. That will make a nice black. Look at that. Nice and dark. I think I'm going to switch to a smaller brush though, because I can't really get in there like I want to. It's like a little spring on the seat. Don't need to put all that detail in there, but you can. I'm going to go a little bit that more watered down black on the top of the seat, so it's got, because it's got a little highlight. And do the tires. Again, try to just kind of feather the lines as you get down to the grass. Ooh, this isn't very round. Bring that grass up a little bit more. Mix up a little bit more of that dark. With the wintertime heat on, it does dry quickly, doesn't it? Oh, this poor bike. I'm glad that it's parked in the meadow, because it probably would not be doing a great job rolling, because those wheels are they're a little flat. I think this will be really cute when it's done though. Another great thing about doing this on camera for me is that I get to kind of see how long it takes me, and what I generally do is however long a piece takes me, I figure it'll take me 3 times longer to teach it. So as long as, and I've got a 2-hour period blocked at the library for this. Some of that of course will be set up time, so I will have to be careful about that. You know, the setup and cleanup time, because otherwise I have to make a librarian stay late and wait for me, and I don't want to do that if I can't help it. Alright, so this, I'm leaving that kind of nondescript. I am going to go in here and get this little, I feel like there should be, I don't see a chain or anything in this, but I feel like there should be. Oh, circles. Not my strong suit today. Goodness gracious, that's like the wonkiest. That's a bike was bought on Temu. And it arrived, and you realize that the wheels aren't round. Oh, good grief. Okay, let me get my liner brush out, which is great for doing long lines, hence the name. I'm going to add some water to it and get into this gray color we mix, this black color, but it's watered down so it'll be kind of gray. And what I'm going to do is just pull really fine lines from the center to the tire, but not like just kind of hints at lines. I don't want to be, you know, spending too much time on the spokes there. I just want little hints of the spokes. kind of like points on a compass, like if you were putting petals on something too. Just a little indication. Yeah, I don't see any cords or anything. Oh, you know what? I didn't do the handlebars. Or at least that handlebar. We might do the other one if we feel like it would be there. Oops, I dipped into the wrong red. The paints that I teach with are not Royal and Langle. They're Dale Rowney Aquafine. I use those because I got a really good deal on a closeout at Jerry's Artarama one year, about 20 sets, and that's my teaching kit, and I do refill them with whatever I can find that's comparable as needed, and that works out really well for me. It was a great way to get, I mean, if nothing else, it was a great way to get those like palettes, even if I ended up replacing all the paint. But that's when you teach kind of drop-in art classes like that, and you've got to provide the materials, it's painful at first when you have to buy your supplies. So if you can find a more affordable option, that's great. So while we're at this, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of shading on the bike. I'm going to do take some of that red. I'm just going to get it into some of that black that we mixed, which was the red and green. So I'm just adding some more red to that, and I'm just going to do a little shadow on the underside there. Do a little shadow on the underside here. And this looks so wonky. Let's not raise attention to that. Yeah, when something looks weird, just try not to bring attention to it. That's my best advice. Okay, I think that's all right for now. Now let's do our plants in there. I think I'll just stick with the same small brush. We've got a batch of, we just got clumps of color for right now. I'm going to use any color that you used so far. I'm going to start off with the bright yellow, clump of flowers here. I'm going to let them get into the basket as well. You might be able to scrub back. Greens can be kind of staining though. But if you do need to scrub, a brush that I really like for scrubbing, it's called the Soft Scrubber, and they're made by Royal and Langnickel. And you can find them in the Zen All Media line, and the Nocturna Pro line, and in the Menta line. And they work great. You want definitely make sure you get the soft scrubber and not the stiff scrubber. The stiff scrubber is just too rough. But that's a really handy brush to have. You can also just use a short bristled filbert, like an acrylic painting brush if you have one. They all will work really well. I'm going to do some red, that rose madder that we've been using. I'm going to make some purple. I will take the rose madder and the ultramarine blue for that. That'll make a really pretty purple. Oh, it's looking real dark as we go over the other colors there. Let's see. Let me just see what the cerulean would look like. Ooh, I think that might be kind of muddy because it's more of a green blue, but I could just take some, oh, that actually, that's because it's a little bit more opaque, I think. No, I don't know. I don't really like that. But I don't really want to bring in purple either. What to do? More red, I think. Do some orange. Mix the yellow and the red together. That would work. I'll do that. Alright, now we want to put some grasses in there, some of the foliage. And I'm going to start off with sap green because that's probably my favorite. And wow, it is so loud here today. I don't know why the water pump is going, but anyway. I know people are always like, we can't even notice it. But it's so loud. It's because like the water pump is on the in the next room over, so it's very obnoxious. I think I'll use a dagger brush for that. Honestly, you can use a small round, but if you have my brushes and you want to use a dagger brush, go ahead. Mine wasn't hiding here. You definitely can do all this with a round. Sometimes having a brush, I'm going to pull some grasses up in here too while I'm at it. Sometimes just having a different brush helps you make some different marks, and it can help you have a little bit more variety. Just spreading some of that foliage color around. In the basket, I'm actually going to blot some of that off though. And do some more grasses. I think I'll switch to my round brush. Mix some yellow into the sap green. A little yellow ochre. I want to do some little flowers in the area here too. I kind of want to just dry brush a little bit of texture in the background. Just trying to think what I want for little flowers. Maybe do some yellow, but kind of like spatter it. And there's some bigger ones up front, little like, you know, buttercups or dandelions or something like that that you would see. I'll blot those off the bike though, that's not helpful. of sunlight into these trees. A little bit of a glow. Think about that. Would we see a little bit of handlebar there? I don't think we would. I think it would be more behind that way, so I think I can leave that. I'm going to take this liner. I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker green. I'm going to start with a sap green. I'm going to add a little bit of the phthalo green. These kind of more detailed, thinner wisps. I kind of feel like I need some more in there. Let's take a little yellow ochre with a liner. I need to have some more grasses in the background there. If you had a rake, you could use a rake brush for that. Or you can even take a flat brush. This might be a bit big, but drag that across the yellow ochre. I'm going to drag it into that as well. But see, when you get the bristles to spread apart a bit, you can get a bunch of little wisps. Just building up that texture. Okay, all right, let's let this dry and then we'll put some details on the bicycle and see what we think at that point. One thing I think I'll bring, and I always have 0.3 fine liners in my teaching bag, but I might bring either some white gel pens or white colored pencils because I think that that might be a really good way to finish off the painting. The only thing with the fine liners is I have to make sure they've got time for their paints to dry fully. But other than that, the fine liners will work really well. So what I think I'm going to do is go in with a fine liner and add some detail where I feel like things are a little bit kind of rough looking. I want to put in a little bit of a detail of like the tread. And this might not even be something my students want to do. They might not like the look of the pen or might not feel comfortable or confident with it, but you know, that's up to them anyway. I think I'll do a little bit of a outlining of this area because that's just kind of awkward looking. And if you're doing the lining at the end, if you're not going to put any more paint on the top, you can use any pen you have, really. If you are going to go over it with paint, you want to make sure you have a waterproof pen. Excuse me. I am going to outline this. I can also smooth down some lines that have gotten a little bit messy. I like that better already, I'll tell you that. I don't know if I'll do the spokes just because I feel like I like how light they are and thin, so I don't think I'll add pen on those. But I kind of like doing some cross hatching for the treads. And that gives a little bit of detail to our focal point, which is really nice. Let's get the handlebars a little bit better here. Now I'm pretty much just underlining on the bottom of things because I'm going to try using a white gel pen for some highlights. And I'm thinking about doing the white gel pen for our little basket there. I don't know, it might be better with black. I haven't decided. I think I'm gonna, yeah, I think I'm gonna do black. I think black will be a little bit more understated. That way, if my line work isn't that great, it won't be as noticeable as bright white lines will. Is my thinking. Plus it's a wire basket. I'm not expecting it to be like perfect. Let's see, coming down from the corner and up to the side a little bit. You could replace your pattern and redraw this if you want to. I didn't transfer the wire because I didn't want to be stuck with any lines that I might not need. There's like a little double line up there like that, so I'm going to put that in. Alright, that's not too bad, I don't think. Okay, so now I'm going to take the white gel pen. And you know, we might want a white pencil too. I buy these by the dozen anyway, so I've got plenty of those I can bring. That's another thing that helps with doing stuff like this is that this kind of shows me what I will definitely need for the project. Oh yeah, I like that. Anything with a soft highlight, I'm using my pencils. Actually, I might put a few highlights in the grass there and the flowers there. I can also do the same thing for my, oh yeah, let's do that over here too. Oh, I like that. I like toning down that red with a colored pencil. Colored pencils, man. They're where it's at. Let's do a little soft highlight on the handlebars as well. And then for the shiny highlights, we'll use our gel pen. Hopefully this one's working. They can be finicky. This one feels like it's going to be finicky. I'm going to grab another one. I don't like to have too many open at once, but sometimes when you teach you can't help it because you'll end up bringing them for class and then it's like, oh, I've got a bunch of these now. All right, let's see. Gotta be nice and steady. Oh, I got a little highlight on the petal, but with my pencil, because it's more of a softer, like rubber would have a softer highlight, but like paint would have a shiny highlight. Oh, I kind of like that. I think that works. We can add little like highlights on some of the spokes if you want. All right. I could also do some like baby's breath or something. I might just bring a couple of boxes of colored pencils and put them out, and then, especially like my softer ones, that way people can just kind of add if they want to. Or I could bring some gouache, I don't know. I think either would work. Now I could put some highlights on the metal here as well. It's kind of cartoony looking with the pen, but I don't know. I don't really mind it. I think I will take some greens. I keep my Prismacolors by color family in these little pots. Works really good because then I can easily find what I need to touch up a painting. I think that would work as well. I'm going to sharpen this. I recommend using a electric pencil sharpener for Prismacolor, actually for color pencils in general, if you can. And maybe a little bit of a lighter color. This one's pretty. This is apple green. Trying to start on the tape and bring it out just so that I have a little bit. I have a nice border. Oh, I could use a little bit of, yeah, you know what, I think I will bring my, I'll bring a couple tins of pencils and just put a big tin of pencils on each table, and then anybody that wants to add something to their composition can do that. I think that would work out really well. And I think it would be fun too, because I think a lot of times people don't know what you can mix together, and if they have, you know, I think a lot of times people will take a class and they'll be really inspired and their picture will come out really well, and then they'll be wanting to work at home, and then they get home and they don't have the instructor. They can get a little bit frustrated, especially if things aren't coming together as well as they had, you know, as well as they did in class. So something like that I think can be fun. I'm just wondering if I want to do any more little flowers. Maybe I'll take some yellow pencil and accent some of the little flowers in the meadow here. I'm just doing scribbles, really. It's nothing, but I like the idea of like dandelions or buttercups. And I think a lot of when I'm doing this in the class, this colored pencil stuff will be just if anybody wants to do it on their own. At the end I'll kind of show the demo and they can add to it if they want to. And if they don't have to, so nobody's feeling like they're totally pressured to, you know, to go beyond watercolor if they don't want to. Add a little bit more. Add some pink in there too. I think that would be pretty. Add some pink into those flowers. Maybe even do like a brighter pink. I'm having fun with this. I hope it's not too overwhelming. I think I do want some little red flowers, but I think I will paint them. What kind of flowers? I'm gonna do poppies, maybe just kind of like very nondescript poppies. Nondescript poppies, I like that. And you could spatter them on, but sometimes when you spatter red it looks like a bloodbath, so I'm gonna be a little bit more restrained. Even just kind of like get a little drop of a really light pink because it's the red with the water, and then kind of go around them with a darker color and let the colors bleed together. Just go a little bit bigger with your flowers as you come forward. The higher up you go, the smaller they would be because they would be further away from the eye. And get bigger as they're closer to the viewer. Grab the sap green again, do some stems on some of these closer ones. Oh shoot, that's too dark. You do a little bit of green spatter actually. And then sometimes I'll go in with a spatter and just kind of spread it if I don't like it. I think it's too much. It's kind of just a balancing act, you know? Doing a little yellow-green spatter here. I just think it would give us the impression of like weeds. And it's not done until you say it's done, because it's your painting. All right. I think I like that. The only thing I might want to do anything else to would just be the grasses there. I'm going to sharpen this really light green. I think that might give me some good shape. I use a Jarlink pencil sharpener. Alright, I'm going to give it a quick drying and take the tape off, and we will see how it looks. I don't know how long we've been painting here. It, you know, could be close to an hour. I'm not sure. Time flies, right? Time flies when you're having fun. That's not too bad. Let's take a red. Let me sharpen it. And let's just turn some of these poppies. I'll make them a little bit more bold in the front. Just kind of outline them a bit. And we can take a black and give them a little bit poppy center. Only towards the front though, and then if there's anything else that you want to enhance, I think it helps to have that white border. Then you can kind of see what needs what. What do you think? I think that would be sweet. I think that would be nice for a beginner watercolor class. And I hope you enjoyed painting along. You can do more to your picture, obviously. Keep on working on it. The more, a lot of times when people aren't happy with their painting, it's not that there's anything wrong with their painting, they're just not done yet. And, just keep on working until you're happy with how it looks. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye!